Welcome to the Hinesights podcast and part 2 of my interview with the ever so incredible director of the Inspiring Children Foundation and the Not Alone Challenge and Summit, Mr. Ryan Wolfington. In this episode, we break down our deep sense of gratitude in the face of pain, struggle, and suffering, and our intense capacity for joy alongside the importance and meaningfulness of tears of joy versus tears of sadness. We also cover how perception and perspective will determine your level of life skill success. Ryan, an insightful person who's got a gift with words. You do not want to miss this truly incredible episode of the Hinesights podcast. What are you waiting for? Dive in now.
In 30 years of being around mental health, my mind's only been blown a few times. And when I met Paul Dalio and he told me his fundamentals, which were dead on. They're dead on because I do them myself. They're the fundamentals we teach, we call them the fundamentals in our program that we tell our children to get, some of which is sleep, nutrition, fitness, meditation, meaningful conversation, connection, among the cold, hot plunge. Like you'll never hear people go through the cold, hot plunge as a therapeutic treatment. And it is, and I stumbled upon it 30 years ago. I'm going to meditate in the river and see if I can overcome the cold through meditation. Next thing you know, I'm high as a kite, and then I'm like, let me try that in a sauna. And like, there was a spa that had a cold plunge in a sauna, and going back between the two, I'm like, this makes you feel like heaven. So, but Paul's expertise from his own lived experience just blew my mind. It's like NASA, when they had to solve for going into space. In that process, they create a lot of solutions for the everyday person, like the microwave, Tempur-Pedic beds. When you and Paul are solving for bipolar, which is part gift, part significant challenge, you're finding solutions for everybody. Because the thing that you and Paul and I have to do every single day, and there's no lenience, like if we miss it, if I miss a day of meditation, if I don't get good sleep, like my system is off.
Yeah.
Now, most people can do that and get away with it.
Yeah. They can go on and cope.
To their peril.
Yeah.
Because life is meant to be lived in a meaningful way where we strive to be our best selves. It's just that people that are highly sensitive, they feel the pain quicker. They feel the canary in the coal mine earlier. They're not able to turn it off. So it's more of an inspiration. We have to do our fundamentals every day. I mean, if you don't meditate, we were just talking earlier.
Yeah.
What happens if you skip a couple of days?
If I skip a couple of days of meditation, both in the morning and the evening, I feel brain fog comes on. I feel mentally pained. I call it brain pain. I get depressed. If I don't sleep for a night, I'll just skyrocket into a manic episode. And then, of course, what comes next, you crash down into a dark depression. Mm-hmm. And so it's a ripple effect, as we talked about earlier, in the opposite direction. The positive ripple effects, the negative ripple effects of my missing a day of any of my routine regimen, or as you said, the fundamentals that Paul uses, I will crash. It's undeniable. It's inevitable. It's going to happen if I don't take care of myself.
So in other words, like the sensitive ones, I call them.
Yeah.
Are gifted with the sensitivity, and it requires those fundamentals on a daily basis, almost like an NBA player for life.
Yeah.
If you're playing the NBA, you cannot get sleep. You can't just be off your game. Then you show up and the game will expose you.
Yeah.
You'll get injured. You'll get, and if we're professionals at life, we have to do those fundamentals every single day. And so when I met Paul, he articulated those fundamentals as well as anyone I've ever met outside of, honestly, our foundation, because their foundation, those fundamentals are core. And so it was like a seed planted in my mind. Like, I want to know more about that guy. And every time I get a chance and opportunity, I come to New York, I go to the sauna, I do the cold plunge with him. We love to talk shop, what works for him, what works for us, and just shooting the shit. And, you know, and when we were doing our summit, I was telling him about it, and he's like, well, you have to get Kevin Hines. You have to get Kevin Hines. And I obviously trust his judgment, but, you know, I'm busy. I forget that. And then I run into someone else like, you have to get Kevin Hines. And then I run into someone else, you have to get, you know, we have a lot of founders.
Yeah.
You can do great things on your own, but together we can do much more. And so we have almost 20 founders of the summit. And I'd say 20% of them said, you got to get Kevin Hines. So I'm like, who the heck is Kevin Hines? So, because, you know, when you're in mental health and you're on the ground helping people heal, you're not out in the scene. I don't know who Kevin Hines is. I don't know who this person is or that, because I'm so busy working with young people and our team trying to help people heal and grow that I'm not out there. And so then I said, you know, then I reached out to Paul, and like, we're doing this award show. And he's like, listen, like, I respect your award show. I think it's wonderful. But like, hands down, the most, and he was literally getting emotional about it. He was very, very passionate about it. He goes, hands down, the most impactful person that I've had in my life in this subject matter is Kevin Hines.
Wow.
And he's like, you have to give Kevin Hines an award.
Oh my God.
So basically, I mean, he was the committee.
Yeah.
And that was done. Because his advocacy was so sincere.
Yeah.
And then, you know, as you know, at our Not Alone Awards, we have all these great celebrities and musicians and athletes and, you know, Chevy Chase and Public Enemy and Run DMC and all these cool people, Jewel and Rachel Platten and JP Sachs. And our model was to make mental health fun. So we had, instead of a boring award show, we had a musician come out, tell the story, give the award, and then play a song in their honor.
Yeah.
And so, but intuitively, when we were looking at who's going to present this award, it was just a gut feeling like it's got to be Paul. Because one thing that is a big commodity in our organization is sincerity and authenticity and meaningfulness. Like, tears of joy is our metric. Do things bring us tears of joy? And can we touch? You ever see like the Sistine Chapel?
Oh, yeah.
Where God touches man?
Of course.
Well, I don't know if you ever had a deep cry of appreciation, or even a deep cry of sadness, of healing. But that's like that rare moment where God touches man, where we crack open, something explodes inside of us.
Yeah.
Well, our goal with life and with our youth foundation and then with our summit is, how do we create moments like that? Yeah. Well, some musician or celebrity that doesn't know you, they can read, they can articulate something in a cool way.
Yeah.
But can it crack open?
Yeah.
So we knew Paul's the guy, because inside him is like this love from you for you.
Yeah.
And so we thought he would be the best person to present it to you.
We're brothers. And
he said to me,
no,
this was one of the greatest honors of my life. I think he might have said it was the biggest honor of his life.
Oh my God.
Like, it meant as much to him to present it to you as maybe it meant for you to get it.
I just got chills in my whole body, because he and I are true brothers in the greatest sense of the word, besides the fact that we don't share the same mother and father.
Yeah.
And he means the world to me. And when he was announcing me, I was obviously back in the backstage area to come on to accept the award. And I was crying. And they were tears of joy. And I have to share with you, since we're on the podcast, a story that I don't often share because it hurts, but there's beauty in it too. And so for this story, I cried tears of sadness and joy. In high school, my favorite teacher, Mr. John Fennell, was my hero, my mentor, my friend, and he was like a second father figure to me. And the kids didn't know that he was struggling with primary alcoholism. And he was the greatest acting teacher in the history of San Francisco and the Bay Area. Thousands of kids were taught by him over his tenure. And
right near graduation, my father had given me the book The Rock Says by Dwayne Johnson. In that book, there's a line that reads, "I defeated my depression through faith." That line, at the time, saved my life from suicide. I was about to attempt, and I read that line in the book, and I stopped doing what I was doing. But not something not many people know about. My first attempt before the Golden Gate Bridge. And here I am in John Fennell's acting class, reading the book. And John goes, "Kevin, put away the book. It's class. You're in my class. Put the book away." I was signed by The Rock. I didn't put the book away. I kept reading. I was engulfed in the book. And John Fennell grabbed the book and he threw it across the bleachers in the theater. That's where class was. And I ran and left and tried to catch it, but I missed catching it. And it hit the metal seat and the cover of the book tore. And I lost my mind. And I threatened John Fennell's life. I was unwell. I was improperly medicated. I was living with bipolar disorder. And I was battling voices in my head and hallucinations and auditory and visual and paranoid delusions. I get sent to the principal's office for making the threat. In big trouble. I nearly get suspended. I get sent home. The book's destroyed. And that was the last conversation I had with John Fennell before he took his life. He took a weapon. I won't get too graphic here, so it's not important, but he took a weapon that we all thought was a prop used in the theater, which it was, which was used against me in the first show I ever did with John Fennell, freshman year. And the cap hit the back of my head. And I thought, for a millisecond, I thought it was a goner. He used that made it real, and he took his life in the year 2000. And that is what truly made the Golden Gate Bridge an option for me. Because I missed him beyond measure. He was my favorite. And when I went to the Golden Gate Bridge to take my life, I vividly remember hearing voices telling me I had to die and seeing all these things that weren't there. And I remember getting to a particular light ramp at the bridge, looking down at the rail of the bridge and seeing what someone carved into it. Jump. Some jerk had carved in jump. And it just solidified that moment for me. And I said to myself a quiet prayer in my head. I'm going to go down to hell like Robin Williams did in the movie What Dreams May Come. To get his wife to bring her to heaven. I'm going to go grab Mr. Fennell. I'm going to bring him to heaven. That was my internal message to myself. It was my goal. And then, of course, I left. But John Fennell was the first person I ever lost to suicide. I would lose 22 more people to suicide and have in my life. And I just keep waiting for the left shoe to drop for that next person. The point of this story is that before John died, I had never seen any of my relatives in my dreams that had passed away, or friends for that matter. After John died, and until now, he comes to me in my dreams. And I always wake up in tears of joy and sadness. Because it broke me. It broke me. But where it would start off, where I would be following him in the dream, I could see, I know the back of his head like the back of my hand. That's John Fennell, you know. And when I would see people in real life that would look like him, I'd be like, for a moment, you get shaken back. That grief brings you, it weighs over you, and you go, I've got, is that, and of course he's gone. But in my dream, one day recently, he turned around. And his big 1970s mustache, and he turns around, and he just goes, "Kev, I love you, and I'm sorry." And that kind of vision was a healing moment for me.
Oh, yeah.
It's a healing moment for me. And so I pray for him every day and his family and for all the people I've lost to suicide. And I just want to say to you to circle back here for a moment. I know you don't want to take credit for what you're doing and you're humble and you're modest, but Ryan, I promise you, you are saving lives with your work. You are changing lineage of families, and you are giving young people hope who otherwise believe they had none. And that is a gift you can never measure. And it's special. And I want you to know that when I went to your conference, I felt it in my gut. And the people that presented there, and the singers, and just the entire show of what you did was like no conference I've ever been at. And I don't think could ever be duplicated except by you guys. And you've got something that it could reshape brain and mental health, the field, the system, everything. And that's something to be very proud of and grateful for.
What's funny, because I've been to a lot, you've been to a lot of these conferences.
For 25 years, yeah.
I mean, how many have you been to?
Oh, thousands.
Yeah. And I haven't been anywhere near that. But I just felt a lot of times they lacked soulfulness. They lacked tears of joy. They lacked real people telling real stories. They lacked the hero's journey.
Yeah.
They're heavy on intellectualism. They're heavy on clinical language, on research, but they weren't heavy on connection, meaningful connection, and bringing together what I consider to be the real heroes, the real experts. A lot of times you're this expert that just studies this or studies that.
Yeah.
But like, what about you or Paul or that live it, the lived experience expert?
Yeah.
And then how do we showcase these individuals in a meaningful way that's celebratory and heroic, that's fun and cool?
Yeah.
Like, it's always boring. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
But like, how do we bring in music? How do we bring in spoken word? How do we bring poetry? But just like Paul introducing that award to you it was very intuitive.
Yeah. Because
that's where the most meaning was going to come.
Of course.
But having like William Elmore, who's an alumni of our program, who lived in our homes, get up and do the spoken word to kick off the summit. Or Cheryl Odell, who's a suicide survivor now at Stanford.
Yeah.
Get up to start the award show.
Yeah.
And there's not an award show producer in the country. In fact, we had a handful of producers, one from Saturday Night Live and a music manager that was like, we can't have this 20-year-old girl open up this celebrity-filled award show. And I said, I will bet my life that she will bring the house down.
Yeah.
And do you know what her script was? Speak from the heart.
That's it.
That's it. Just get up and speak from the heart.
Yeah.
And she nailed it.
She nailed it.
She nailed it, as did you. I mean, like what Kahlil Gibran has that saying, like, the deeper the cut of the suffering, the more capacity we have for joy.
Yeah.
And we tried to bring together a bunch of people who had been through suffering before and found their ways through those stages of healing. And now they're thriving. And then you got a chance to meet other yous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times you go to these conferences, it's just you or just a few people. We wanted a green room conference. Everyone there is a healer, a lived experience expert, someone who's deeply passionate about emotional mental health. And they live and breathe it. You know what I mean? Not just pontificating about theory, but really, really understanding how it works.
Yeah, it's interesting. You really did. You hit the nail on the head with the whole thing. And, as we're talking here, I'm thinking about Paul's fundamentals, your fundamentals, my fundamentals, what we need to do to stay stable and keep on the straight and narrow. That doesn't mean we don't go through it.
Of course.
And even though I stick to the plan, I still have my breaking points, and I still do slip back and live in the pain. But that's okay. I get to be here to do that.
Yep.
I jumped off the fucking Golden Gate Bridge, and a sea lion kept me afloat until the Coast Guard board arrived behind me. And then one of the foremost back surgeons in the world, who was visiting the hospital for the day, opted in to do my surgery and saved me the ability to stand, walk, and run. The only reason when you got here today to this hotel, to this podcast, and you stood, and I stood, and we hugged and embraced, I get to do that because of that succession of situations that happened to allow me the gift of being able to do that.
Mm.
I think about that sometimes when I'm hurting, and the hurt just isn't that bad because of what I've been given with this second chance.
And you, tell me if I'm wrong, but haven't you found the tools to help you learn how to try to love the hurting?
Of course.
Transform the hurting?
Of course.
To bring the hurt back until you eventually can get back on your path?
Of course, there's that, but then there's turning the pain into purpose.
Yeah.
Because what I used to do back when I, felt sorry for myself in these situations was I would pity myself, sorry for myself, and I would sit in the pain and ruminate in the pain
and let
the pain completely overwhelm me.
Correct.
Overtake my senses.
Correct.
And then I'm useless to everybody.
Correct.
Now I see the pain coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got this.
Yeah. And you have a toolkit.
I have all the tools
on how to rise above or to go toward, to love.
Yeah.
We have a saying in our program, love plus X equals love, meaning X is whatever the circumstance.
Yeah.
And if you try to bring love to the suffering, if you try to bring love to the pain, if you try to bring love to the challenges of life, instead of hate, instead of resistance, you can transform any negative into, eventually, not right away, into a loving, peaceful experience.
Yeah.
And where before we get the tools, we just get deeper and deeper in the resentment, deeper and deeper in the self-hatred, deeper and deeper in the suffering.
Yeah.
And then it feels like it's hopeless and it's never going to get better. And the narrative, you're never going to get better.
Yeah.
It's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
Anytime you've ever felt good was a lie. That's not even real. No. Right? How often do you get that lie?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you felt fine. The facts are I felt fine for a month. Oh, but that wasn't even real. You were just lying to yourself.
Yeah.
That's
Are you romantic or you were?
I'll tell you what's interesting that you said to me earlier. I think it's relevant to share on your podcast is, and it's very similar to what we do at our Inspiring Children Foundation. It's probably one of the more powerful tools I've ever come across. So people should listen to this. When you're going through rumination, you're struggling with self-hatred, self-doubt, self-fear, my life sucks, that spiral. You described what you do with your wife. Can you walk me through it?
Yeah, of course. So I still have suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay. When I crash into suicidal ideation, the first thing I do is I find a mirror anywhere. I look in that mirror and I say, my thoughts do not have to become my actions. They can simply be my thoughts. They don't have to own, rule, or define what I do next if they're dangerous to myself or others. The second thing I do is I turn to my lovely wife, Margaret, who you met and you know, and I say, honey, I need help now. 4 simple but very effective words that always work. Because then she sits with me and she says, is this a fix it or a feel it? If I say it's a fix it, I need your advice, she sits there and gives me advice based on what I'm going through. Mostly it's a feel it. And she sits shoulder to shoulder with me, puts her other arm around my shoulder and says, I got you. Tell me what's on your mind. Just get it all out.
Mm-hmm.
I word vomit until it's all out. It's all out of my system. And she then says, logically, Kevin, is that going to really happen? I deal with hallucinations, auditory and visual. I see and hear things that don't exist to anyone but me. I often see in a crowd of 5,000 of an audience group that I'm speaking to, I always see this guy. And I always see him at events. He's got a butcher knife he's holding. And he's coming to kill me. He's there to kill me. And so what I used to do was panic. But then I realized, here's what I have to do.
Yep.
I have to stop my presentation. I have to go, everybody, I need a moment. I'm having a hard time mentally. I have hallucinations, as you know. We've discussed it earlier. Can you just tell me, is there a man in the corner in a yellow poncho with a silver beard with a butcher knife at his chest? And everyone goes, holy shit. But they go, no, Kevin, there's nobody there. I go, thank you. We can move on. I do that. When it happens, I do that, whether it's in front of a bunch of people or it's in my home.
Sure.
And it's to my Margaret or it's to 5,000 people. Because I have to level set and I have to know I'm safe. And if that means breaking the third wall with this audience, then that's what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if that means that the audience booker is turned off to my presentation, then that's their problem.
Correct.
This is my brain health journey.
Correct.
And I have to feel safe in it.
Correct.
So I got to do what I got to do.
Yeah.
And so with Margaret, I sit and we go fix it or feel it. And when she feels it, she really is there for the entire moments. And she's got my back, literally. And we walk through, what is the situation? What are you feeling? What are you thinking? And what are you ruminating about? And perseverating about? And how do we break that perseveration?
You know, it's interesting. Like our curriculum, we have 10 pillars of healing and growth and high performance living. But a big part of it is how do we use media, movies, TV, music, inspirational content on Instagram or TikTok to enlighten young people.
Yeah.
And there's an incredible movie called Divergent. Have you ever seen Divergent?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So when she's in the box,
Yes.
filling with water, and it's like, I'm dying, the panic attack, the anxiety, and she just starts to tap on the glass.
Yeah.
Remember that scene?
Yes.
And she just starts to realize, wait, this isn't real.
Yeah.
This isn't real.
Yeah.
And it was just such a beautiful scene that we showed to our kids. It's like, look, you have to understand that your thoughts aren't real.
Yeah.
The thoughts aren't you.
Yeah.
And most of the time, your thoughts aren't real. They're just not. They're just bad data.
That's bad data.
You know, and having that awareness sets you free. Like the old saying, the truth sets you free. Well, if I know my thoughts aren't real, then geez, I feel so much better. Like, when did you realize, oh wait, my thoughts aren't real?
Yeah.
Do you remember when that epiphany hit you?
The epiphany hit me when my Uncle George came to me in my third psych ward stay of 10. Okay, so third involuntary psych ward stay, forced in against my will. Next 7, I walked into those units. I said, I need to be here or I won't be here. In the third psych ward stay, Uncle George comes to see me, favorite uncle on mom's side, and he's a goofball, but he was really pissed off. And he comes with a rolled up magazine in his right hand, and he goes, Kevin, your family and friends can help you until we're blue in the face. But until and when you take 110% responsibility for the fact that you have this diagnosed bipolar disorder, kid, ain't nothing going to change. You'll be in and out of these places for the rest of your life. Is that what you want? I said, well, no, Uncle George. He said, well, get it together, kid. We're counting on you. And he slammed the magazine on the table and he said, read it. And he left. I said, you're not my favorite uncle anymore, as he walked out the door. I picked up the magazine, Time Magazine article, 2002, battle bipolar disorder, depression, and mental illness with routine and regimen and win. I was like, why didn't my first 3 psychiatrists tell me this was a good idea?
I know, that's crazy.
So I go and I go to my room. I'm still mad at George.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't read it. I finally get the magazine. I read the magazine article from cover to cover. And then I read the article again. And it sparked all these wonderful ideas on how to balance my brain. So the next day, I go to my case manager, and I asked for the nutritionist at the hospital. I'm going to be in there for 2 months. So I asked for the nutritionist at the hospital. I said, look, I'm pre-diabetic. I'm well overweight. What do I do? And she goes, well, Kevin, I looked at your food log. You should stop ordering 4 unhealthy meals per 1 meal a day. And I said, well, you should stop giving them to me. And she goes, okay, we can balance that out. We'll eat anti-inflammatory meals from now on in the hospital. Great. Then she goes, well, you should, how long has it been since you've exercised? I said, a year. She said, well, let's get to the ground and get to work. You were a WCL wrestling champion. You know what you have to do. So every day I would get to the ground in my room and I would get to work with every windowsill and every armchair and whatever I could use. I did it. because there was no gym in the psych ward. And then I go to therapy one day, and for the first time in my life, I thought, why don't I be honest in therapy? Who knew that was a good idea?
Mm-hmm.
That went great. And so I'm doing all of these things. I'm building the routine and the regimen that the article suggested. But then I'm adding on all these things that I've learned in the psych ward that I thought I wasn't really paying attention to, that I know work, that they've told me work. And I'm starting to heal. I'm losing the weight. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better because the food's been changed. I'm feeling better because the therapy I'm being honest in. My father is coming into therapy and we're healing together. It was unbelievable. And so when that happened, when Uncle George did that, that was when I realized if I put these practices into play and I commit to them every day, I could live on some sort of an even keel with this diagnosis. You know, I looked at what happened to my birth parents. I'm adopted. My birth parents both had been diagnosed with manic depression in their day in the 1970s. Instead of getting the help they desperately deserved because they couldn't get it, we lived in poverty. I was born in a crack motel. You know, I was born in a terrible situation in the Tenderloin of San Francisco. And my birth parents turned to hardcore drugs and alcohol, and they died very young of drugs and alcohol. And it wasn't like they wanted to give me up. They fought to keep me, but I was taken from them.
Mm-hmm.
But they had bipolar disorder, type 1 with psychotic features, each of them. I had a 50% chance of being diagnosed with it because predisposed twice. When I think of my birth parents, I miss them, even though I never got to know them. I think of them every day. I pray for them every day. I pray for my birth brother who died. He was 10 months older than me. We both got bronchitis in a foster home. He passed away right next to me. I pray for him every day. But given all that I know about what my family has dealt with this disease, my life goal today is to fight, and it is a fight, to be on this even keel to the best of my ability so I get to show up for this podcast, for you, for my family, for my wife, for my friends, most importantly, for God and me. I have to be my best self, and that means I can't slip too far. So I have to be on my toes.
Mm-hmm.
And the blessing in all of this is that bipolar disorder and this diagnosis and mental illness is not just some lone curse. It's also given me many gifts. It's given me the ability, as you call it, that sensitivity, that sensitive nature that Paul and I have and you have. It's given me the ability to see inside people's hearts and minds a little bit deeper than most, you know? And when someone's going through it, I'm always able to go on FaceTime and be like, hey, I was thinking about you today because last time we had a call, I was worried about you.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, how'd you know? I just felt it.
Well, also, like, at the summit here today, you're always an inch away from tears.
Yeah.
You know, and it's an inch away of that feeling God's love.
Yeah.
And awareness.
Yeah.
And that is the ultimate gift. I think tears of joy is what we're here for.
Yeah.
You know, it's the metric. You know, obviously every kid that's come through our program's got a scholarship to college.
Wow.
We have a 97% remission rate. But my favorite statistic, if we did 5 years of studying outcomes, and 100% of our kids had tears of joy. Most people don't get tears of joy their whole life. How often do you get tears of joy?
All the time.
Yeah, like
I was listening. We had, when we first on our phone call, I told you about Xenia Monet, the AI singer.
mm-hmm.
Now, I'm listening to this album, and I don't know she's an AI singer. I don't know she's artificially created by a poet who wrote the lyrics, but artificially created. And I learned about what happened to me when I heard the entire album. From start to finish of that album, I got frisson, goosebumps across my entire body
Mm-hmm.
from the faith-based music that she was singing, and it touched me in my soul. And it gave me tears of joy. Every song gave me tears of joy. Now, I'm sure they designed it like that.
Of course.
They designed it like that. It's fine. But that didn't negate the fact that it changed my entire day enough for me to tell you all about it. You know, and it's things like that that bring me a sense of calm, because I know there's such beauty out there in the world that no matter what I'm going through mentally, I'm going to find that peace and that gorgeous hillside on the other side.
I think highly sensitive people, they can feel when something's real. They can feel when something's coming from the truth. They can feel when something is genuine, honest, loving, kind. And when that's happening, it's like we feel alive. You know, as I get older, at times I get high blood pressure, and I found the two things that give me high blood pressure, because I track it: lack of sleep and meaningless dialogue, small talk.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think we're built to shimmer, we're built to shine. There's a great song called Shimmer. I always like media to highlight principles. It's called Shimmer, and the lyric is, we are born to shimmer, we're born to shine, but somehow they teach us how to hate.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, life is about this journey back into our true selves.
Yeah.
As Jewel calls it, again, a loving archaeological dig back to our true selves, to find that child again. And, you know, when I met you and talked to you, it's like a little, like, 12-year-old boy.
That's what my wife said.
You know what I mean? Like,
Except she says 7.
okay.
She says,
The innocence and the sensitivity of a child with the wisdom of an adult. You know what I mean? I think that's what we're seeking. And the more we can do these fundamentals, whether it be meditation or the nutrition you're talking about, the sleep, going toward the suffering, embracing the healing journey. It's weird that we wait till someone's in a chronic state to talk about what we're feeling, to talk about, you know, but the more we do that, the more we become alive, the more love we have in our heart, and then the more life shimmers.
Yeah.
You know, and you have that in your eye, that little twinkle. And I think when you came to the summit, you noticed we collected a bunch of people like that.
You did. It was
because they need to meet each other.
They needed to meet each other. It was something to see. It was something to experience. And I wish everyone could experience it. And
you got to come to the program, though.
Yeah.
The summit's great.
Yeah.
Listen, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
But it doesn't hold a candle
To the program.
to the program. I mean, the program's 7 days a week, 8 in the morning, 7:30 at night, and we're physical, social, emotional, mental health, and spiritual if the child is spiritual.
Yeah.
Integrating healing into day-to-day life, into their school, into their sports, into their entrepreneurship, into their art, music, into their family life. And then doing what your wife did with you. I want to get back to that. She sits next to you, and she asks you word vomit. You talk about all the negative thoughts, right? And the way you described it to me, and we do this in our office, we write down every negative thought. Let's write it down. Let's not run from it.
Yeah.
Let's just get real close to it.
Yeah.
Let's write it down. Let's have a loving relationship with it. Oh, I'm miserable. I'll never get better. I'm a piece of shit. I hate my life. I hate so-and-so. Like, let's write down every single thought. And then you said you and your wife do what?
She says, is this a fix it or feel it? If I say I fix it, then we go through every logical standpoint about how I can get past that thought and how we can reverse it. How do we get to the other side of that thought, which is, let's say I say,
give me a real example.
Yeah, real example.
Of an old thought.
Real example. I'll say, I'm worthless. I have no value, and I don't belong here. And she'll say, why do you feel you're worthless? And she will not let me get up from where we are until I define why I feel I'm worthless.
Mm-hmm.
And typically, I cannot find a reason of my worthlessness.
Yeah.
So immediately what happens? You come out of that.
Correct.
Because you're like, wait a minute.
The truth sets
The
you
truth
free.
sets you free.
Correct.
The truth sets you free.
It's a
No, of course.
it's a bright